So anyway, just to, as I want to do, is tell you a little bit about my day. So at 66, you get Medicare, right? Medicare is a pretty good deal. It's, there's two types of Medicare. There's Medicare Advantage. I won't go and explain Medicare with you, believe me, but it is relatively confusing. There's a lot of confusing parts to it because they pay for all this, but they don't pay for this. So you need to get a supplemental policy for this. You need to get this and that. So one thing you have to get in Medicare is you have to get a supplemental D policy, Medicare D supplement policy, and that's the drug policy because Medicare basically doesn't pay for anything, pharmacy-wise, drug-wise. And as you age, you will be taking meds. So I take 4 meds daily, and I have been since I had a heart attack 12 years ago. I take the same 4 meds, and I have I have a Part D coverage, right? And it's coming up, and it rolls. And I usually just roll it because I'm fairly happy. I mean, the last year, I think it's $23.60 a month, and then I have a deductible of a few $100. Once I meet that, then the scripts are pretty cheap as far as I know. I really look at that stuff, but I went and got a prescription the other day that was filled for a drug called fenofibrate, 48 milligrams, and it's fenofibrate helps you with your cholesterol. I have 97 cholesterol, by the way, which is anything below 200 is really good. So 97 is A double plus. And I suspect fenofibrate probably has something to do with it, but I paid $66.96 for the damn prescription. I was going, what the heck? And it says right there, it says retail $66.96. It's like, why am I paying retail? Well, I have insurance. It's late enough in the year, my deductible's been met, and yet I'm paying $67 for this generic med. So I've been up in arms about it, and so I've been trying to figure out what to do. Oh, and this whole thing started with, again, a letter from this company that I have my D with, right? It says, yeah, we're going from Express Scripts to Cigna Health. We're kicking CVS out of the preferred network and going to a standard network. I can hit CVS with an orange from my house. It's pretty close. So I like to use that pharmacy. And and the $23.60 a month you've been paying will now go to $72.60 a month. Okay. So I'm looking at other plans. They're all in there in the $25 range. And then I'm looking at this Good RX. And as it turns out, there's no reason I should have been paying retail $67 for this med. I can get it at Costco for $14.81, 90 pills. I can get it at Ralph's for $9 and change. I can get it at Vaughn's for $11. It's like, it's insane. It's insane. So if you don't spend the time to try to figure out this stuff, you will just get screwed every way you possibly can. It's just, there's so many ways you can pay way more than you should if you're not aware of it. So in about 50 years, I want you guys all to be thinking about that. Okay? Try to remember that. 50 years from now. Yeah, you remember when Mr. Ed said, I think that was like yeah, Medicare. Insurance. Hey, Eric, same thing with you. You and, no, I'm sorry, Brandon, it wasn't you. Brandon, I say it was you. I did, didn't I? Brandon, you there?
Yes.
It's not you. I'm sorry, I confused you. It's Eric and Mike.
Okay.
So Eric, I got a thing saying, I should drop you, but I said no drop. So you're covered. You won't get dropped by me.
Thank you.
Yeah, no sweat for whatever reason you're not doing it. You won't get dropped by me, and neither will Mike Silva. Hopefully he'll show up. So Matthew Owinaga. Matt, I'm on the right course here, right? Yeah, Matt's not here. Miguel. I think he was starting to feel. Miguel, what is going on with you, man? Jesus.
Here.
Jesus Barreto on Thursday. No Matthew. Austin. You know, Austin always comes late. Just if you guys see him pop up there, somebody chime in if he doesn't say, hey, Austin. Louis Daniel.
Present.
Benjamin Duran.
Here.
Adair Gallardo.
Here.
Zach Higgins.
Here.
Eric Mendez,
Here.
Jacob.
Here.
Jacob Miller. Yakub. Dylan Mitchell.
Here.
Matthias Mo.
Here.
Brandon.
Right here.
Oz Gallo. D'Angelo. Joel Santos.
Here.
There you are, Joel. I knew you told me you were going to be there. Michael Silva, not yet. Hopefully you show up. Jose Silva? Here. And John Tapia? Here. All right. Okay, so did Matthew Aguinaga wander in, or Miguel Barbosa? No? How about Austin Bradley? D'Angelo? Mike Silva? All right, let's go to, let's have a safety meeting.
I had to read one of these on Tuesday,
What'd you have to read?
one of the safety meetings.
You did?
Yeah, I had to read it for our 10-day safety meeting.
Oh, good. It's your job.
Yeah.
Right on.
Grab a
Yeah.
pen ready for my cup.
What's that?
Grab a pen for my
Yeah,
cup.
yeah, you got it. Got it. Where we are, here we are. We're at week 9. I think I've just got the one light. Let's see how this thing lights up. Maybe just leave them on. If you guys can see the screen, then we'll just leave them. Drop the drink. I didn't drink it because I didn't drink water. Yeah. And we'll play to that. You, okay, can you guys see it?
Yeah.
Hey Rodney, is the final going to be very similar to the format of the measure?
I'm gonna go over that with you. I'm gonna go over the test. And the short answer is yes.
Okay. The only difference will be where able to use calculator.
You probably will be able to use calculators, I'm pretty sure. I mean, yeah, for most of it, I may have a couple of questions where I want to see some work,
Okay.
but for the most part, yeah. You'll be able to use it. Okay, Jesus, you're here, right? Yeah. I just had to start the Zoom meeting right away. Sorry for the late notice. Late, won't be able to make it due to my being out of town for my sibling's birthday. So should I give him a pass for sibling's birthday or not?
He let
Yeah.
you know.
He did. What time did he let me know? 5:52, 8 minutes before. He's done really well. Wait, who was it now?
It's dropped 10 points off.
He's done really well. I'm gonna give him an excused absence. I'm such a push. Austin, did you make it? D'Angelo, did you make it? Okay. All right, I'll start with the introduction. Load securement is the name of this. Introduction, whether it is a piece of construction equipment or other pieces of cargo or tools, all items that are transported using a trailer should be secured properly. Improperly secured items could expose both employees and the public to hazards. Following the safe work practices provided, following the safe work practices provided in this lesson will help ensure employee safety. Okay, let's see. Matthias, would you read for us first, please? Hazards.
Yeah. When securing a load of transport, employees could potentially be exposed to several hazards, including crushed extremities getting caught between the load and tie down, head or facial injuries when chains or other tie downs released from being under pressure, tripping off the load slipping due to mud, water, ice, etc., being present when driving or lifting the load onto the trailer, load falling off during transport due to straps or other tie downs coming undone or loose, having the load enter the cab of the vehicle during braking or sudden stops.
That is a bummer for the guy driving, I gotta say. Personal protective equipment, how about, what do we got out there? Who's out there? Eric. Mendez. Eric, you there?
I could read.
Got you. My laptop was having trouble.
We can hear you now. You good?
Got you. Personal and protective equipment, right?
Yes, please.
Got you. Employees should wear the following personal and protective equipment: safety shoes when required by employer, gloves when required by employer, safety glasses when required by employer, hard hat when required by employer, reflective vest or jacket when required by employer.
All right, safe work practices, how about Ben?
Safe work practices. Before a load is even put on or in a trailer, an inspection should be conducted. An inspection should include the following: comparing the weight capacity of the trailer to the weight of the load that it will be carrying, ensuring that all ramps, anchor points, and bed of the trailer are free of damage. Police should also check the tire pressure of the tires, ensuring that all tie downs and anchor points are rated for the load. This includes the binders. Binders should be sized for the chain that it will be holding. Example.
Please.
Example, a 3/8 chain will need a 3/8 binder. Each fastener, whether chain or synthetic, must be rated for half the aggregate load. So size fasteners accordingly.
Okay, Jacob.
Each anchor point must be rated for the half the working load limit of the fastener. Note, in situations where cargo is blocked or positioned to prevent forward movement by a header board, bulkhead, other cargo, or other approved blocking devices, it must be secured by either one or two tie downs. The decision for one or two tie downs will depend on the weight and length of the cargo. One or two tie downs for cargo that is 5 feet or less in length. Two tie downs must be used if the cargo is longer than 5 feet, but less than or equal to 10 feet in length, irrespective of the weight. Look for damage on chains and synthetic tie downs. Damages include bent or dented links, broken links, faded or damaged rating marks or stamps, fraying, tears, or chemical damage in synthetic straps.
Okay, let's get somebody else to have some fun. Zach.
Report damaged trailers and tie downs to your supervisor. Do not use damaged trailers or tie downs. When a trailer is ready to be loaded, employees should do the following: clean off any mud, water, ice, etc. from the ramps and trailer bed. Remove any obstructions from the path of heavy pieces of equipment, forklifts, and cranes. Maintain clear communication between spotters and operators. Ensure that you have the correct number of tie downs for the load. Heavier pieces of equipment, bulldozers, forklifts, excavators, etc., should have at least 4 tie downs for the body of the vehicle and an additional tie down for any attachments. Note, requirements for tie downs and chains can vary from state to state or from state and federal. Utilize any provided anchor points on equipment or other pieces of cargo. Sometimes the provided anchor point does not lend itself to a good tie down spot. In these situations, employees should look for another approved method for securement. Secure any binders and ratchets that could stick out into traffic.
And the conclusion is properly securing loads for transport is very important. Unsecured loads are very hazardous for everyone involved and illegal. Employees can take responsibility for their safety and the safety of others by ensuring that loads are properly secured before they hit the highways. By following the safe work practices provided, employees can help minimize the chances of an accident occurring by properly securing a load for transport. So typically, if you're transporting something that's trailered, like a big piece of equipment. There's Austin. Hey. Big piece of equipment, heavy equipment, or steel I-beams or something like that. You're gonna be in a big truck. You're gonna probably be the driver, and you're gonna be well versed in your binder chains, because that's all you do. And the last thing you want is that load going through the cab and killing you. And worse than that is your load coming undone on the freeway or somewhere and falling off and killing or injuring someone. So all bad. Losing material is bad, losing time is bad, losing life and injury, it's all bad. Securing loads is super important. But really, when I saw this, I thought it was more about securing loads. I could do a whole class on securing loads. Because as carpenters, we have to go get stuff. We don't always get it delivered, right? I mean, ideally for me, if I'm the guy running the job, I want to get lifts done from the board store. Right? I'm going to get them dropped, and that way I'm not paying my guys to do it, just to break them down and hump them to the site and spread them on the site. By the same token, if you have the lumber company make up your lifts, the materials that you need, then you're leaving them to select for you. So one nice thing, if you need some boards that you feel like should be selected, then you maybe want to spend the time and the money to have one of your guys go and select. But here's a little anecdote about that. Here's an anecdote about that. I had a guy working for me a while back. His name is Mitch. I won't say his last name. I don't think I can even remember it. But we were doing a carport on the Mesa. And I was wrapping the posts with miter 2x12s. And I told him to go to the board store and get 4 or 16 2x12, 16, or maybe it was 8, 16 anyway. I told him to get a bunch of 2x12s. And I told him to get VGDF. And I wrote it down. Capital VGDF. And I sent him to the board store rather than have it ordered to get VGDF, which is vertical grade Doug fir, because I want him to select out really nice boards for the show. Nice straight grain. There'll be a bunch of boards to choose from. If I'm going to pay that kind of money, I want to select it out. I want just, besides a 4, 6, or 8 board order, I didn't want to have that delivered anyway, or pay a delivery charge, and I can just send my guy. That would be something I would send my guy to the store for. He comes back with the 2x12s, only they're construction grade, right? They're DF number 1. I said, Mitch, I wrote it down right here. I told you to get VGDF, which means vertical grade Doug fir. He said, I got VGDF. I said, no, you didn't. You got DF number 1. He goes, I got very good Doug fir. Okay, you're fired. Get your check, get off my job, and don't ever let me see your ugly red-haired face again. I didn't fire him right there, but I did have to fire him. I had to fire him. I think it was like the straw that broke the camel's back was I went to a job at 2 o'clock. I wrote down that I was at the job and nobody was there. When I got the time cards a couple of days later, I saw Mitch clocked out at 4 from that job. And so I asked him, I said, Mitch, so Thursday, I guess you were on the job until 4, I guess, right? Right up till 4. He goes, yeah, I think I was there till like 5 after. Okay. Fire. That time I actually did fire him. So
I have a question.
please.
Load that is not secured properly and you drop it on the freeway, that type of damage, would my car insurance cover it, or that's on my own?
I don't think
No.
car insurance covers negligence.
No, well, the thing is it's attached to your car. It could be argued, that the insurance company, the liability would carry over because it's your car and you were responsible for the load, stuff like that. But it would be more than likely they'd go after your employer's insurance or yours if you happen to be the contractor. They'd go after your liability.
My employers, would be my employers.
Yeah. So if your employer sent you to the board store,
Oh, no, okay. It was my own, like I'm just traveling with,
Yeah, so if you're not working for somebody and you get some stuff,
uh,
then yeah, they would go after, because they're not gonna go after you. Right? They're not gonna go after you because you're not gonna only get, they're gonna only get what you got in your bank account. So they're gonna go after somebody that's some insurance. And your car insurance would probably be who they'd go after, unless it's, somewhere in there in the fine print, it's specifically proscribed that no, if something falls off your car, but I suspect if something falls off your car and it causes somebody some harm, any kind of harm, that your liability would cover that, your basic liability. So, when you buy car insurance, if you have a nice car, you get collision and comprehensive to take care of your car. But if you want to just go El Cheapo and your car is not that cool, or it's that, it's an older car. Like for instance, my Lexus, I don't have comprehensive on it. It's an 07, it's a 14-year-old car. If it gets into a bad scrape, I'm just gonna get rid of the car. So, and it would cost me another $200 or $300 or $400 a year. But it's really good to know what your coverages are. Yeah, Liv.
I know the law for transporting like loose loads is the tarp one for freeway.
Yep.
Do you happen to know, like, let's say you have a loose load, like dirt or sand or anything like that, and you don't sweep out your bed and you go back on the freeway, like after you dump it, and all of that is flying up, do you know if there's any kind of, don't get caught?
It's enforcing that stuff. It's like somebody would have to see it happen and then document it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Somehow document it, somehow get a picture of that stuff leaving your bed, and then go through the hoops to get somebody to file on you, to a misdemeanor or something, unless it was a law enforcement and they felt like they wanted to jam you up. But typically, they're just not. Even trucks that, I've had windshields cracked and I've had rocks thrown by trucks, and you can't do anything. I get their license number. I go, this time they go, really, can you prove that it was that truck? Oh, no, but I was like right behind them, and then the rock smacked into me,
So like rock delivery trucks and stuff, when they unload, stuff gets stuck in their crevices and it just starts
hits
falling
the
off.
road as they head out. And
Yeah, I don't think you can.
no, it's a tough one, man.
Yeah.
I try to stay away from loads like that, away from getting behind big gravel trucks and things like that. And then it's always, it's nice to be aware of other people in the world and sweep out your bed so you're not blowing that shit everywhere and leaves everywhere.
Our work truck, even if we sweep it out, there's still,
Oh, yeah.
dirt coming out.
Yep.
of it.
No,
Little
it's just
crevice.
kind of the way it goes, really. And there's nobody enforcing that. There are so many laws that are not being enforced now. I was just reading that some guy left Home Depot, this is the other day, with a push cart full of Ryobi, brand new Ryobi, expensive Ryobi tools. And some concerned customer, he made a comment about the guy's appearance. Apparently the guy appeared like he was perhaps, didn't have a home or whatever. What's he doing buying these expensive tools? And the guy asked him, hey, do you have a receipt for those tools? And the guy said, no. Apparently the guy just loaded up the cart and just wheeled them out. And a Home Depot employee was following him, filming him, but she wasn't stopping him. He was basically waiting for his buddy to roll up so he could load up the truck. And then somebody commented that, yeah, CVS, they don't even stop people.
No.
They just let you go. They go, hey, you're stealing. And then you go, okay, yeah, I'm stealing, bye.
it pretty much went down to a misdemeanor to where the cops don't even get called out to the location. If it's over a certain amount, they'll go out, but if it's under a certain amount, they're just gonna go.
Yeah, no, I know it's tough these days to.
I mean, it's Ryobi pool, so it's not a big loss.
Yeah.
Well, if it's over 1,000, then it's grand theft.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd think they would. So, hey, Mike Silva, did you show, no? How about D'Angelo? Did you show up? No? Miguel? No? Okay. What were we doing?
Going over the test.
This we're gonna do. We're talking about unsecured loads.
We just finished the safety meeting.
Thank you. Okay.
Why did you get
I mean, they lock at all the brands, but you have to get an employee.
Okay, come on. I'm trying to think here. I can't. Quiet down, please. Quiet down, please. Okay, here we go. We're in week 9. You guys realize that this is week 9, right? After this week, there's 7 weeks left. If you figure that we're gonna have a final on that 7th week, there's really only 6 weeks of class left. And I'll tell you right now that this class is about the book. We're gonna go through the book, the rest of the book. And I doubt we're gonna crack the book today, but you need to crack. I'm giving you homework. Read unit 15, linear measurement. It's not very long. Try to read 15, 16, 17 if you can. We'll start covering that next week, but try to get a little bit ahead of it. It's relatively simple, so we can try to breeze through it. That having been said, having gone over your test and the nightmare of all the wrong answers that weren't necessarily wrong, if you looked at your test, the comments I made and the changing from incorrect to correct, the next test will be on the book. Questions will be from the book. Now, in the next 6 weeks, if I do some takeoff stuff and bring out a Mangone print and do some different things with you that aren't part of the book, those may be a part of the test. But generally, you can count on the test being the review questions and the exam questions. That's what the test will be on. And they'll be on the even numbered ones, not the odd numbered ones. Odd numbered one answers in the back. And you will be able to use the book and all the stuff available in the book, the tables in the book, and for the most part, you'll be able to use a calculator. I'll probably get away from these simple answers and allow you to use a calculator unless there's some answers I want you to show me what you did. And all of you did really good on handing in the worksheets. You did great. Everybody did the test except for one guy. I can't figure out what happened. He only did 5 questions, then stopped doing it. I think he's dropping the class. I think he's overloaded. But I was kind of astounded at how many questions some people got wrong, and also how many denominants were absent. And and then a lot of people I found that people, I guess, were not comfortable with the word problems that were, number problems, but there's, you got to read the words. They just didn't answer them. Some of you just didn't answer questions, didn't answer a bunch of questions. And it looked like mostly the questions that you didn't either want to take the time to read the words or they confused you somehow or whatever. So we're going to try to go over some stuff. I'm going to use Lou's test. I'm going to pull up the speed grader and we'll use Lou's test because he did very well. And as I don't want to embarrass anybody, and we'll go over these things. And if you want me to pull up your test, I can do that right now. Everybody will see and we can look at that thing. Or if because I know unless you pull it up right now, you won't know which numbers you got, unless you remember, which numbers you got wrong and which questions you got wrong. So let's just pull up a test and go through it and see if we can't. And then I'm hoping, I don't know that we'll have time. We may or may not have time, but at some point, if not tonight, for a fun thing, I want to show you guys, I want to walk you through some stuff. I want to walk you through. I need those. I'm looking for those. I want to walk you through. I've got the book building drawings here. Giant bunch of drawings on the CD. I've got a SketchUp of the book building. I've got a Google SketchUp, which is a animated tour of the book building, which is really fun. I've got some more drawings. And I got the piano house, and then I got a bunch of photos of one of my jobs that I won a Builder of the Year for, and another SketchUp. If we can, probably not tonight, but at some point I'd like to walk you guys through this. Pretty fun walk through. But I think that's all the book building. I thought I had different stuff in there, but I don't. All right, we did the safety meeting. Unit 15 is linear measurement, which we're not going to talk about right now. We are going to go to midterm exam. Let's see how to do this. This is how we'll do it. No, that's the one. That's okay, so let's go to lose. I'll block your name there, Lou, so nobody will really know it's you, although it does say for Louis Daniel. So question 1. Most of you got this. Anybody hear me at home? Yeah? Okay, everybody hear me? I don't hear it now.
Yeah, your
Yes.
audio is fine.
Okay, good. Yeah, let's project this. Good idea. Let's project. What are you guys looking at there? So give it a minute to come up. You okay, baby boy? Huh? It's so strange lately. Man, there's got to be a way to get that off of there. Got to be a way. Okay, so question 1. Most of you got this right. Some of you didn't. Any of you that didn't get this right, hopefully you remember who you are. But the way this works is 319,462 rounded to the nearest thousands is done like this. You go to the thousands place, which is 3 points over to the left, right? So the other side of the comma, the left of the comma, that 9, that's the thousands. 319 thousands. That 9 is the thousands. Go to the number to the right of it. Is it 5 or above? Then you go to 9. And if it's 5 or below, then you I'm sorry, where am I? Yeah, if it's 5 or below, if it's above 5, that would have been 320,000. If that number had been 319,562, you would have gone to 320,000. Anything above 5, the number to the right of the place we want you to go to. So it's important you know the places, right? First place is the 1s, second place is the 10s. Going to the left from the decimal point, which doesn't exist, but pretend it's there on the far right. 1s, 10s, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, millions, tens of millions, okay? Like that, with commas. So if it was 562, it'd have been 320 grand. But since it was 462, since we asked you to round up in the 9s, the thousands column, the 4 is less than 5, so you round down. It's 319,000. That's the answer, 319,000. Okay, 319,000. For anybody that didn't get it, hopefully now you get it. If it's 5 or above, you go that number to the left that we're asking you to round, you go up. It's 5 or less, so 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah. Down to 319. Question 2. Now, tons of people miss this, and I can't figure out why. And I didn't go through every single sheet of everybody. I mean, I just made sure you guys did what I asked you to. A couple of them I looked at. Now, and I don't know, I should show this too, because somebody, does this look familiar to anybody? Because they didn't write your name on this and I didn't get who it was. I thought it was maybe Matt. It wasn't Matt. Nobody recognizes this? So somebody at home, I'll show you later. But you know, they on answer 2, they got 124 inches. And I don't know how the hell they got it. And I can kind of follow it, but at one point it just got so confusing, I stopped following it. So it's pretty simple, right? 3 boards, 18 is 3 times 18. That's 54. 2 boards, 19 is 18. 54 and 18 is 72.
2 boards of 9.
Right?
Yeah, 2 words.
It's 72. And then 117 makes it 99, right? Wait, that's not right. Must make it 89. So 3 boards at 18. 3 times 18 is what? 54, right? Okay. And then we're gonna do 2 times 9, because there's 2 boards. 2 times 9 is 18. Then we're gonna add 18 and 54, and that should be 62, 72, right? And then we've got one more 17-inch board, and 72 and 17 is 89, correct? So 89 is the number we need by adding up, doing some multiplying, and then adding those guys up with 89. Then we need to subtract. They were cut off a 168-inch board. So we need to subtract 89 from 168. It's 68 and 11. 89 from 100 is 11. Add it to 68. This is me doing it in my head. It's 79 inches. It's only 79 inches. It's not any other number. It's the beauty of this. It's why I thought I could do fill in the blank. There's just one answer to this question, but you'd be surprised how many people got it wrong with the actual wrong answer. And a ton of people got it marked wrong because they either put a space and then the inch, or wrote out inch, or didn't put inch. So in the future, the next test, and I will explain this well in advance and before the test, you will be required to look at the denominator in the question and use it exactly like the question. So in other words, if I use the denominator of inches, a quotation mark, right after the numbers, that's the denominator I want you to use in the answer. So it will be the answer, 79 inches. And that's a denominator number. It's not just a whole number. It's a denominator number. It denominates something. It's not just 79. It's 79 inches. Okay, and that's important further on because I know all of you saw and a lot of your questions that got marked wrong by Canvas, and then I made right and gave you 2 points for, because your denominator was either absent or done different. And that's really kind of the whole thing is I gave you the answer right if you did the math right, but you know, if I was a strict teacher, you would get the damn thing wrong. You didn't say it exactly right. But I'm not a strict teacher. I don't want to bust anybody's cojones here. I just want you guys to have a chance at getting this. And the basics of math would be really good for you to get. So some of you need to sharpen those skills. So the answer to this is 84 lineal feet, not 80. I don't know where Lou got 80, but let's just kind of do it in our heads for a minute here. Carpenters installing wooden shelving in all the closets. 2 closets need 7-foot shelves. Okay, so what's the denominator here? The denominator is foot, not 7 feet. 7 is a number, the denominator is feet. It's represented as an apostrophe, right after the number. That's the denominator and how it's represented. So I would want the answer to be with that denominator, and yet I wrote lineal feet. So the next time I do a question like this, if I want to see lineal feet, like I did, L-I-N-F-T, then I will write it out there. And if I show just a feet mark, anyway, I'll be way more concerned about how you read the question so you can answer it so Canvas can start making these correct. But I'll tell you what, and I don't think it shows on Lou's, in at least a dozen places, if not 2 dozen places, you guys wrote the right answer and the damn Canvas gave it to you wrong. And you wrote it right in every way, shape, and form. And it still gave it to you wrong. And I don't know why. I cannot figure it out. I'm just glad I went through everything. So let's just do this quickly here. So 2 closets need 7-foot of shelves, 6 closets need 6-foot of shelves, and a linen closet needs 2 feet of shelves. You want to know how many lineal feet of shelving, right? Okay, so let's do the math. 2 at 7 feet is 14. 6 at 6 feet is 36. 36 and 14 is 50. And then 5 or 2 feet, 5 times 2 is 10. So it's 60 feet, right? Mm-hmm. And then the 6 needs 60 feet needs 6 4-footers added to it. 6 times 4 is 24. 60 and 24 is 84 feet. 84 lineal feet. All right, a contractor budgeted $1,800 for a labor for a job. How many hours can 2 workers each making $14 an hour work and remain under budget? How do you figure the answer for this? Somebody, Austin, how do you figure the answer? Austin did it. A+2, by the way.
Just divided 1,800 by 14. And I got this one wrong I came up with 128 point, a bunch of other numbers. So I
Yeah.
just rounded down to 128.
Yeah, yeah.
But
And the reason you got it wrong is because you have to multiply the 14 times 2. Because it's 2 workers. They each make 14 an hour. So you're dividing 28 into $1,800.
I guess I feel like the wording, how many hours can 2 workers?
Oh,
That's,
it's super confusing.
that's a little ambiguous.
Yeah, it's kind of fucked up, but it's out of the book and I'm sticking to it. But I hear you. I hear you. It is a little ambiguous, but still, the $1,800 is what he budgeted. And how many hours can 2 workers each making 14-hour work and remainder to budget? Well, you wouldn't just figure one of them, you'd have to figure 2 of them, right? And each makes $14 an hour. So it seems simple enough to me. So, or you could do 14 into 18 and divide that by 2. Either way, it's going to come out to be 64 hours. This is interesting too, question 5 to me, because Jacob took it the night before and his was marked wrong because I had the wrong answer. I had some ridiculous, I don't even know what I had on there. But that's a pretty easy one, right? To reduce anything in all fractions. Okay, I thought I was clear about this, but perhaps I wasn't clear. No answers you're going to be given to anybody are going to be for uncommon fractions or unreduced fractions. So you're not going to, if the answer to any question is 4/64, don't write 4/64. Why? Because it's got to be reduced. 4/64 doesn't make any sense to anybody because 4/64 is a 16th. That makes a lot of sense to people. So when you start talking about a 16th of an inch on a job site, everybody knows what you're talking about. They're on your tape. But when you start talking about 4/64, nobody knows what you're talking about. I mean, yeah, we all know that's a 16th if we stop for a second, some of us, but you have to reduce those fractions to the lowest thing they can be reduced for, period. And no uncommon fractions, no bigger number than the bottom number. You have to divide that bottom number into the bigger number and come up with a mixed number.
Like
when
when
people,
they put 32 on everything on all of them.
So they do what? No, 30 seconds.
Yeah, 30 seconds. They go all the way down to that.
They do 3/4 now is not 3/4, right? It's not 3/4 at all. It's what? It's 23 30 seconds. Yeah. Or less. But you got to reduce, and that'll come up a whole bunch. Okay, so and then there seemed like a fair amount of people got confused and started doing decimals when we were in fraction problems. So when it was a fraction problem, there was fractions stated. Those were we were working with fractions. So some of you took it in your head to convert those fractions to decimals. I don't know why. No one asked you to convert anything. The decimal problems were decimals and the fraction problems were fractions. So this one is a fraction problem because it asks for 7 3/8 to an improper fraction. How do you do that? How do you make 7 3/8 an improper fraction?
Well, 7 times 8 plus 3.
Exactly right. 7 times 8, you multiply the bottom number times the whole number. 7 times 8 is 56. Add 3 to it, and there's your fraction, 59/8. It's an improper fraction because the top number is larger than the lower number. And remember, we don't want improper fractions. This is just a problem. If the answer is an improper fraction, it asks you for an improper fraction. But if that was the answer to a question, what would you put? If you came up with 59/8, what would you put as the answer?
7 3/8.
You put 7 3/8, right? You're not going to tell a guy, go cut me that board 59/8. The guy's going to go, what? Why would I do that? Right numerator or wrong denominator.
Dyslexic moment.
Yeah, and so, right, you just, and I knew you did. Plus I knew that, I should have marked a bunch of these wrong. Okay, so here's another fraction problem. 7/18 plus 5/18 plus 11/18. This is the easiest fraction addition problem that you had. And I think some of you got it, some of you didn't, but it's simple. It's all 18ths, so we don't have to reduce to a common denominator. We have a common denominator. The denominator is the one on the bottom. It's common at 18. So we just got to add up the numerators. 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 11 is 23. It's 23 over 18. Oh, wait, that's an improper fraction. Do we want improper fractions? No, we don't. So we have to convert that 23/18 to what it really is, a mixed number. 1 and 5/18, because 18 goes into 23 once with 5 remaining. Right? And I know for some of you, this is really simple. And for some of you, it's not so simple. And I don't know which is which or who's who. So I'm just throwing it out there. So for the ones of you that it's not that simple, just try to make it simple for yourself. I want you to understand this. And also, if you missed the question, why you missed the question. Okay. Okay, another one that Lou actually got right. And this says that it's a common denominator. It's feet, fractions of feet. Now we can't add those fractions together because they don't have the same denominator. So we have to reduce them. There's a couple of ways to do this. You could make 9 1/4 all 12ths. Right? You could go 4 times 9 is 36 plus the 1, so that'd be 37 over 4 plus. We could turn that into 12s. 12 times 12 is 144 plus 5 is 149 over 12. So it'd be 149 plus 47. You know, you could do it that way, but I think an easier way to do it would be just to take and make that quarter into 12s. That quarter into 12s goes, because 4 goes into 12 3 times, then you do 3 times the 1 is 3 12s. So you add the 9 and the 12, which is 21, and then add the 3 12s and the 5 12s. That's 8 12s. And what's 8 12? It's a non-reduced fraction. What is 8 12s reduced to? Because 4 goes into 8 twice, 4 goes into 12 3 times. There's your answer, 21 and 2/3.
Hey Rod, it's Michael.
If
Slovis.
any questions along the way? Yeah, Matthias.
I put a decimal, and that's like the same thing. And then
No, it's not. It's not, because I didn't ask you for a decimal answer. I gave you fractions above. There were no decimals above.
I know, but like in my head, I just
Yeah, no, I know. You probably put point,
6
yeah, and that's not actually right at all. Oh, I'm sorry. I scrolled down. It's actually 0.67 because the real number is 0.66666. So it's 0.67, just like 0.34. But if I had asked for a decimal, then you would have been right. But did I ask for a decimal? No, I gave you fractions, not a decimal. So you're not right. You understand, which is good for me. And by the way, I know that you understood it. When I looked at your answer, I knew that you understood what the answer was, but you didn't write it in the way I wanted it. And if I had asked for fractions on the job site and you gave me decimals, I would have gone, I didn't ask you for decimals. I asked you for fractions. That's what I want, right? That's what you got to roll.
Hey Rod, it's Michael Silva. Sorry I'm late.
But really 0.67 is 2/3. But we're going baby steps here, remember? And it is a test, and it's a fill in the blank test. Now I could have said 9 1/4 plus 12 and 5, 12 equals, and then in parentheses, decimal or fraction, or show me this as a whole number in a decimal. I didn't though. This means I needed it as a, are you on? But are you on now? Okay, okay, so you're on. I got you as here. Just so you're following along with us, right? Yeah, we're on now. Okay. Thanks, bud. See you. Bye. Question 10. Another fractions. Also, a lot of you just decided not to use the denominator. Lots and lots of people gave me right answers with no denominator. Now you'll notice that Canvas gave you the answer wrong, but I gave you the points for it, and it made some note about the denominator.
What do you mean, they gave that answer?
So 15 and 11/16 is the correct answer. That's a denominate number. 15 and 11/16 by itself is a mixed number.
Right.
15 and 11/16 inches is a denominate number. The inches are the denominant. If I asked for feet, that would be the
Oh,
denominator.
Okay.
So
there's-
if I asked you for the quotient of 28 and 5/16 minus 12 and 5/8 and didn't have inches in there,
Right.
then you could write
Okay,
15, 11/16. But if I asked for inches, then I want the denominator.
right.
And if you gave me the right answer without the denominator, I gave you I corrected it, made it worth 2 points. So this one was pretty easy, right? You gotta reduce the fractions to the lowest common denominator. In this case, I would do the fractions outside the whole number. So I'd take, make 5/8 10/16. Well, you can't subtract 10/16 from 5/16, right? 5/16 is less than 10/16. So what do you got to do? You got to borrow one, which is 16/16. So you got to add 5/16 to that. So take the one away from the 28, make it 27 now. And now you've got 21/16. You can take 10/16, which is what 5/8 equals. From 21 leaves you 11/16. And now you take 12 from the 27, which is 15. The answer is 15 and 11/16 what? Inches. So this guy here, this 7/16 times 38. We know how the multiplication works, right? You can cancel stuff out. I don't feel like doing this on the board unless somebody wants me to. If you do, just chime in and I'll do it on the board. 21 and 128. 21 128. It's a regular common fraction. It's not uncommon, right? The low number is on top where it should be. It's not a mixed number. It's can't be reduced anymore, right? 3 can't go in. 3 will go into 21 7 times. Nothing else will really go into 21 except 21. 21 does not go equally into 128. It does go into 125, but not 128. And again, that 7 goes into it. I know for a fact 7 does not go into 128. So can't be reduced. 21 128. All right, so 3 carpenters cut 16 deck posts to a length of 67 inches. A lot of people miss this. I would say most people miss this. Most people put everything but the denominator number. So 3 carpenters is not a denominator number. 16 deck posts is not a denominator number. But 67 inches is the denominator. Now, it might be argued that deck post is the denominator. It's not. It's inches, feet, stuff like that. You need the denominator. So the denominator number is 67 inches. That's the denominator. And that was pretty well and easily spelled out in the book if you had gone back and looked at the book. Gone to the index, looked up denominator, and then read the what it told. So question 13. How is this figured? How's it figured? It's figured, you just multiply 11 times 3.225, right? And with feet, it's a denominator number. It needs the denominator. Half of you that put the right answer did not put the feet in there. So I gave it to you, right? I gave you the 2 points for it. Of course, it stays wrong. When you pull it up on your canvas, it stays wrong, but you got 2 points for it. So that's the kicker. But it's just 11 times 3 is 33, and 11 times 2 1/4. I'm not going to do it longhand. I will do it long. I'll do any of these longhand on the board if anybody requests it. Meantime, if you'd like to see how it's done, in the meantime, we'll just keep going here. So this was a pretty, in some ways, complex. There's a lot of multiplying to do here, but to do this multiplication, you need to change all of those fractions to uncommon. All of those mixed numbers to improper fractions, and you needed to reduce them to a similar fraction. To a common denominator, right? So what's the common denominator between fifths, sixteenths, and fifths?
Fifths,
What is it?
fifths?
Can't,
No.
can't be
That's
fifths.
the-
It's got to be, what is 16 to go into evenly, 80? Wait, what's, yeah,
80, I
Right.
think 16.
so that's how you would have done it.
Yeah.
You would have turned this all into 80ths. I think that's how you did it. I can't remember. Most of you got this right. Some of you didn't. But do we have any questions about how you came up with the answer or didn't come up with the answer, if you got it right or wrong? No? That one was probably the hardest. I'm gonna do that just for my own elucidation. No, I'm not.
On second thought.
Yeah, I might come back to it, but if anybody has any questions about it, but that really is the way we gotta do it, right? We gotta reduce to 80ths to get that to work, don't we?
Yeah, you have to.
You have to. You
Yeah.
have to go to the lowest common
No,
denominator.
you go, yeah, you multiply everything by 5, or to get the, it's 16 by 5.
So let's just do it. I'm just gonna do it for purposes of argument. Just to satisfy myself. So we gotta reduce, so we all agree that the lowest common denominator in fifths and sixteenths is 80.
Yeah.
16 goes into 80 and 5 goes into 80, and there's nothing in between, so. All right, so we're gonna go to 80. So 5 goes into 80 16 times, so 5 times 16 is 80 plus 3. So that's 83 fifths, right? Times, now let's change 5 16ths into 80ths. So 16 goes into 85 times, so 5 times 5 is 25. That's 25 80ths. And then times, we gotta change that in 80ths, so 5 goes into 80 16 times, so 16 times 6 is 96 plus 2 is 100. So that's 100 over 5. Now I'm gonna be able to do some reducing. I can make that 5, make that 1, make that 4, make that 5, make that 1, make that 1. And then as it turns out, all I gotta do is go 83 times 5, which is 415, divided by 4, which should be, that's not right. I messed that up, didn't I?
Mr. Rodney,
Nobody's following me. Yeah.
I think he was right. You don't really need to find a common denominator because it's a multiplication.
Oh. Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. It's true. Is that true? Did I just totally space that out?
I mean, you can do it either way.
Oh, you're right. You're right. We don't have to find the common denominator multiplication. Am I that screwed up tonight? So is that so? So that'd be 23 fifths, right? Times 5 16ths. You're right. We don't need it. So what do we need the lowest common denominator for? To add and subtract. Great, Rod.
That's 28.
And then 6 times 5 is 30, so 32 fifths. Yeah, so you're right. We don't need the lowest common denominator. That was stupid. I wonder because I didn't think that any of these required 80ths. They
Been a
don't.
long day.
1, 1, 1, 2. So 46 over 5. 5 into 46 goes 11 and a fifth. That's easy enough. So the answer is 46 and a fifth just by canceling out. I won't show it on the board unless somebody wants me to, and I'll go back and show it on the board. But yeah, no, we don't have to do the lowest common denominator. Thank you for reminding me of that basic principle in mathematics. So 62 divided by 7 3/4. Pretty easy, right? And you can prove it. You can prove it by taking 8 times 7 3/4. 7 times 8 is 56. 8 times 3/4 is 8 times, 56, and then 8 times 3/4 is 4. 6 comes to 62. So this is where some of you guys decided not to answer, where we started getting in some of these ones that required reading. A general contractor needs to order concrete for multiple projects. The first requires 14 1/3 cubic yards, another requires 22 22 and 2/3, and a third requires 19 and 2/3. How many total cubic yards? So it's a simple math question, right?
Yeah, can we do this one on the board, please?
Sure. Love to. So let's.
You can just.
Okay, give me the, what is it now?
The first is 14 and 1/3.
14 and 1/3.
Another is 20.
Is that times plus?
Oh, would be a plus, right? Because you need to know how many cubic yards.
Okay, yeah, so we're gonna add up these three amounts of cubic yards, we're gonna add them all up. So plus
22 and 2/3.
2/3 and
19 and 2/3.
19 and 2/3. Okay, so this is how I would do this. I do it in a column like this. And I'd add up this column first. 4 and 2 is 6 plus 9 is 15. Carry the 1. 2 and 2 is 4 and 1 is 5. 55. These are all thirds, right? I got no problem there. So I got 2 and 2 is 4 plus 1 is 5/3. Is that the proper answer? No, it's not. What is the proper answer?
56 and 2.
Exactly. This 5/3 needs to be turned into from an improper fraction to a proper fraction, which is actually a mixed number. So 3 goes into 5 once with 2/3 left over. So we got to add 1 to that, making that 56 and 2/3, right? Get that?
Got it.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. No, I'm happy to do this for myself too, because
So that's the answer to like the actual math problem, but you would really order 57 yards, right? If this was a real,
good, because you mentioned that.
Yeah.
You mentioned that. Let's get back to that test for a second and I'm going to answer that. Okay. Yes. So if the answer is 56 and 2/3 yards, which is the answer I was looking for because you're adding up fractions, you would definitely order 57 yards. So that you went above and beyond. Did I not
yeah,
that
you
wrong
should
for you?
get, no, Candace marked it wrong, but you came back and fixed it.
What a guy. Cheers, what'd you do?
Give me to the bathroom.
What a guy. So yeah, you would never, you probably wouldn't order 56 and 2/3 yards. You could though. Probably round up.
Tom,
Better,
I'll give
it's
you a
always
small
better to have a little more concrete than not enough.
Right.
Yeah, and Lou, is there some reason you rounded down? Or I'm sorry, what, you answered 57. Did you do the same thing?
Yeah, right.
Right. Which, and I gave Lou I gave you that 2 points too.
Yeah.
God, what a guy.
Yeah, thank you.
What a nice teacher.
Yeah, appreciate
So
it.
Matthias doesn't think so, but that's okay.
No,
Hopefully I'll get over it. Matthias, nothing personal, I promise. All right. So
Rodney,
a roofing crew installed 14 and 2/3 squares.
You might need to turn the projector on again.
Thank you.
Yeah.
A roofing crew installed 14 and 2/3 squares on Tuesday, 17 and a half squares on Wednesday. And how many squares are yet to be installed if they need to install 60? So this is a simple add what they did install, come up with that answer, and then subtract that from 60. So now you gotta, in adding, we have to reduce the lowest common denominator. So the lowest common denominator is 6. So 2/3 is 4/6, and a half is 3/6. The 4 and 3 is 7/6, which is 1 and a 6. 17 and 14 is 31. So That's 32 in the sixth. Take 32 in the sixth from 60, and there's your answer. 27. And again, this would be a good one if you had a question like this on the final. You ask yourself, okay, so I did the math and I came out with 27 and 5/6. Should I put anything else after there? So if I say, how many squares? Now I'll come up with one or the other. I'll probably tell you to put in the denominator rather than just the number. Because really the question could be, how many? 27. 27 would definitely satisfy it. It just won't satisfy Canvas. And really 27 satisfies me. I'm just hoping to get Canvas to mark them right and not wrong.
What's a square of shingles again?
100 square feet is a square of shingles. Any roofing material is sold by the roofing square, which is 100 square feet of material. So the basement steps consisting of 17 risers, each measures 7 3/8. What's the height? How did you figure this? Just multiplied 7 risers times 7 3/8, right? Which is 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 3 is 21/8. 21 over 8. 8 goes into 21, 2 times with 5 left over. So you add the 2 get to the 49 and you get 51 inches. A roofer worked 39.5 hours and he made 711. How did you figure the answer on this? You divided 711 by 39.5, 39.5 in this case. Fractions, 39.5. But, you know, if you were doing this and you did 0.5, that's fine with me because I didn't ask you for a fraction of the answer. I just asked you for his wage per hour. And by the way, when you get into fractions, fractions of dollars, there are no fractions of dollars. There's only decimals of dollars. So you will never be asked, or you should never be asked for a fraction of a dollar. You'll be asked for decimals, the decimal part of the dollar, right? Cents. And guess what? There are none of. There's no half cents. You're never going to pay anybody 12.5 cents. And a lot of you answered a question or two down here in the half cents. So think about that. Never answer in the half cents. Always round up or down.
Hey Rodney, what's your view on other countries that don't have pennies and they just have 5 cents as the lowest?
I love it.
Yeah.
We're talking about getting rid of pennies here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Don't they
Talking
talk
about getting rid
that
of pennies, nickels, change altogether. They have been for years.
Exactly.
More trouble in this one. So this was pretty easy, right? 11 and 123,000. So when you get a question like this, and I want you to write it as a decimal number, the first thing that says numbers, write that down. And then when it says and, picture and as decimal point. And means decimal point. It really does. 11.123. This one kind of messed some people up. They tried to do a bunch of stuff on it, but it's really to turn this into a fraction. This is 354,000, so it's 354 over 1,000. Why is that not the proper answer? It can be reduced. It can be reduced. You got to reduce it, and it reduces because 177 goes. I'm sorry, 2 goes into 354. 177, and it goes into 1,500. So you would reduce it to 177, which is a proper fraction. So rounding up, I don't think many people miss this, if any. Right? I want you to round to the nearest tenth. Nearest tenth is that first place to the right of the decimal. So then we go to the right of it. It's a 5. On the left goes up 1, 6. Drop everything else off. Now, a lot of you put a bunch of zeros. You put, zero. I put zeros in front because the book put zeros in front. I could have left the zeros off. You don't necessarily need a zero. The zero is kind of nice because it kind of highlights that there's a decimal point, 0.6. So I don't mind that so much, but some of you put 0.6000. And, you know, Canvas marked it wrong. I gave you the 2 points. It's technically right. Those zeros are supernumerary, just like the one to the left of the decimal point is also supernumerary. Which means it's not. So this is just simple math, right? 458 plus 145 plus 227 plus 98, just in a column, add them up, carry the ones over 10, and you'll come up with 928 yards. What's the denominator? Yards. So in rounding decimals to the nearest hundredths, which is the hundredths place here in that 0.945217? 4 hundredths, right? First place is the tenths, going to the right of the decimal. On the left, it's ones, tenths, hundreds. Going to the right of the decimal, it's tens and then hundreds. So we've ascertained that hundreds is 4, right? And we want to round to the nearest hundred, so we got to go to the right of that, and that's 5, which means we got to go to the left up. If it was 4, what would we do? We go down. If that was 954,217, we'd go. I'm sorry. If that was 944,217, it'd be 0.94. In the case of this question, it's 0.945, so it's 0.95. Again, another simple math problem, and the decimals just go straight on down. Straight on down. This should have been relatively simple. I don't think many people missed this. If you did, really the only people that missed these just misadded. They just misadded when they were doing columns. Common mistake, I do it all the time. Here's a simple decimal minus number. Then you do these guys in a column and you are fine. And actually, you wouldn't do those in a column. How would you do this? You wouldn't do this in a column. You do this. I'd probably add 999 to 36. I'd add 36.84 to 9.99, and then I would subtract that number from 6278. That's how I would do it. You can't really subtract 2 numbers at a time. Or you could subtract 36.84 from 62.78, and once you got that answer, then you could subtract 9.99 from that and get you 15.8. Most of you got this. Some of you put the decimal place in the wrong spot, which means you missed it. That's very important. It's not 66.37, it's 663. What's the denominator here? 24 squares were delivered, 14.7 were installed, and 7.68. So how do we find the answer?
24 minus 7.68.
24 minus those 2, so right? So we need to subtract both of them. So either subtract 14.57 from 24 and then 7.768 from that, or add the 14 and 7 numbers together and subtract that. Again, squares with 34. And Matthias, you could have wrote that as 1 3/4 squares. I'm looking if I'm asking about decimals, we want to answer decimals. I'm asking about fractions, answer fractions. This is a simple math, but a few people missed it because of the decimal point. So when you multiply 2.4 times 0.875 and come up with a number, then you got to move that decimal point in your answers from the right. How many places?
The addition of all this.
Well, you got, let's say, so the multiplication aside, let's say you multiplied 24 times 875. Now you got to put in a decimal point. How many places? 4. So it's the top and the bottom number. So when you're multiplying, You gotta use both numbers. So there's 3 decimal places on the 0.0875, and there's 1 decimal place on the 2.14. 2.4. So that's 4 decimal places. So when you get that number at the bottom, you got to move over 1, 2, 3, 4 places and put the point. And in this case, it was 2.1000. That's what it's 2.4. The zeros were super. Some of you left the zeros in there. That's fine. But again, they're super. A lot of you got this right, and I gave it to you right, but Canvas got it wrong, because you just put 593.13. That's not what the contractor paid him. We didn't pay him 593.13. We paid him $593.13. That was pretty important. So next time you write a check, that you write 593.13 and don't put the dollar sign, there's a chance it won't get cashed. It won't cash. So use the denominators. And that should have said that number up there, at 1825 should have been a dollar sign. I screwed that up. No, nobody jammed that. That's good. And this was a simple multiplication, 32.5 times 18.25. You come up with the number and then you move it over 3 places. And obviously, there's a 0 in the end. Flooring material, 178.125. That's where it was estimated. It sells for $379. It's simple, $3.79 times 178.125. And the answer is that answer with a dollar sign. Again, pretty simple division, longhand, 7.56 and 3.3. You got to move the decimal point to the right to make it 33. By the same token, you got to move it in the quotient, not the quotient, but in the number you're dividing into. That's 7.56. You got to move that to the 17.5 and move it to the right of the 5, and then you can start doing the math, right? 5.321. Again, simple math. You just got to know to move those decimal points. And if any of you are confused by that, you speak up now or forever hold your peace. How to do long division. This was a simple minus problem, 14,500 minus 9,788. Do that by head if I was so inclined. No. But there's the answer. Question 35, 99.75 inches up to the soffit. Sided, this is horizontal sided, and an exposure of 5 1/4. How many rows will it take to side the wall? Well, how do you figure the answer on that? This isn't algebra, so virtually everything you need is on there. There's nothing you got to guess at. So it's 99.75 inches divided by 5.25. Long division, you take that 525, move the decimal point over, so you can start dividing into, move it over the 99.75 to the end of the 5, and then start going. The first thing would be 525 and then 99.7. Some of you missed this. Some of you put, I don't know, some of you put some pretty strange answers, but I tried to give you the benefit of that every chance I got. This was hard for some people. They got the decimal in the wrong place. You see where we round to, right? We go to the thousands place, which is 7. On the right of it, it's 6. It's greater than 5, right? So the 7 becomes 8, drop everything else. Again, a simple math problem with decimals. If you do this in a column, you just follow on down. 3 and 7 is 10, and 7, 17, right? There's your answer. Easy answer. This one, this is where Lou left the columns out. I gave it to him because he got the right answer. Left the comments out. But we write here in the United States, we put commas after every 3 numbers. So 10, ones, tens, hundreds, comma. Thousands, 10,000s, 100,000s, comma. Millions, okay, comma. And periods for the decimal. Get the commas in here. Again, simple times, moving the decimal place. So you did this quotient and then you counted 1, 2, 3, 4 decimal places. Then you went from the end of the of your answer and went 1, 2, 3, 4. You put the decimal place and you were done. Oh, and you remember the comment. Same thing here. Lou wrote this thing. No, actually, Lou
Zero.
he did extra. He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
So they
No,
put the
I'm sorry.
zero.
You counted it right. You counted 8 places, 5 places on top, 3 places on the bottom. You counted 8 places, but you put the 0 in, which was supernumerary, but I gave it to you. 6.36 divided by 6.32. Again, simple division, longhand. You got to take the 632 and make it 6.32. Make it 632. Move the decimal point on what you're dividing into over to the right side of the 6, and then short 10. 10.5, easy answer. These things you want to start hoping that you're getting them in your head, just like your times tables. Just like when I say 5 times 5, your head goes 25. When I say 9 times 9, your head goes 81. When I say 3 times 3, 9. When I say, you know what I mean? Should be popping in your head. Eighths should be popping in your head. 1/8, 0.125. 3/8, 0.375. 5/8, 0.625. 7/8, 0.875. 4/8, I shouldn't have to tell you that. That's half. Right? 2/8, or 3/8. Those, because we use a lot of 8s. 16ths, not so much. 0.0675. Right? 3/16, 0.1875. 5/16. Yeah. Those aren't in my head as fast, but you got a table in the back of your book, and there's tables for decimal equivalents. And the easiest way, if you don't have a construction calculator, to add up fractions on your calculator is changing the decimals. It's the easiest way, because your calculator won't add fractions unless you have a construction calculator, and it will. Okay, if you don't have a construction calculator, you got a calculator on your phone. You have a calculator, you can add, subtract, multiply, and do anything you need to divide fractions by just changing them to decimals. Then it becomes a lot simpler. You don't have to cancel and invert and do all that stuff. I want you to be able to do that longhand in case you're ever stuck without a calculator, but that's probably not going to happen. It could happen. What if you were on an airplane and you woke up on a desert island with about 40 people that you didn't really know, and you didn't know how you got there? There were all these crazy things. It was 7 seasons long. You have. Okay, so okay, fraction form. 0.375 is 3/8. Now, how do I know that's 3/8? Well, we could just turn that into a fraction. Just put 375 over what? What makes 0.375 a fraction? It's 375 over 1,000. Right? It's 375 thousandths. It's 3 numbers long. So 375 over 1,000 is what? It's a reducible fraction, right? 125 goes into 375 3 times, and it goes into 1,000 8 times. So it's 3/8. All right, so this is simple math, right? You're 23, 64, 21, and you're 2, 3, 20, 60, and another 10, 7. So you got to add those two together, and it gives you one number, and then you got to subtract the 1957.55 he paid his guy, and then that's how much he profited, which is ridiculous because that's not how much he profited. But what about overhead? What about contingency?
I had the comma on that one.
Good work. This was pretty easy. 127 feet for one job, one ob, for a job, and 147 feet for another. So you add those two together, which is 274 feet times the $1.89. Simple math. Simple multiplication problem. Add the dollar sign and decimal point with golden. Another simple math problem. Just a bunch of commas. Most of you got this right, and some of you didn't put comments, but I gave you the 2 points. Because Ken was marked it wrong. Again, simple math, simple multiplication, 120 times 5,000 and 54. And this one I could do in my head. 120 times 5 is 60. So 120 times 5,000 is 600,000. And 120 times 40 is 4,800. So it's 604,800. Now I realize that I've been doing math in my head for a long time, and I have a penchant for it, and I take it for granted that it can be done, but it's not as easy for people. That's why you have pencil and paper. That's why I invented pencil and paper, to write this stuff out and to figure it out. And then once you feel comfortable with that, and I feel like you feel comfortable, then I want you to be able to start using your calculators, and you'll have a better sense of using your calculators as well. Again, 1,566 divided by 18. It's a simple division, longhand division. And the answers are the same. No remainder, no random. It goes in there even. And you can prove it to yourself. Just, when you're doing stuff like this, and you wonder, is that the right answer? You can always, oh, shit. Finally heard from my missing guy.
Is it okay if we take a break, Raji?
No, because we're gonna do 3 more questions and we're gonna go home.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Unless you want to take a break for 15, 20 minutes.
No, that's okay.
And then we'll stay longer.
No, yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, that's what I figured. We just push on through.
Yeah.
Guys, I thought we'd be done before this. I'm sorry we're not. We are only 3 questions done, and I got a text to go back and tell them I'll phone you soon. Here we go. 48. Carpenters giving a quote to install baseboard. Perimeters of the rooms are 52, 64, 72, and 28. That's pretty simple math, right? Should hopefully not many people miss this before you got it. Just put them in a column, add them up, add them up. This question, a contractor bid 45 grand on a construction project. Once the project was complete, he spent $1,800 bucks, $1,871 on materials, $18,721 was spent on materials, $7,687 was paid to his workers, and $4,600 to a sub. So to get this answer to the question, we're going to add the 18 and change he spent on materials, the 76 and change to his workers, and the 46 to a sub. We're going to take that number and we're going to subtract it from 45,000, and the answer is always going to be 13,992. It's not going to be any other number ever. So this one here, the total rise on a set of porch steps is 43.5 inches. How many 7 1/4 risers can you get? Simple math. I'm going to divide 7 1/4 and 43.5. It's going to come out even. It's going to be 6. If you want to know if you got the right answer, just multiply 6 times 7, which is 42, and 6 times 1/4 is 1.5. 42 plus 1.5 is 43.5. Lo and behold, that's the number. So you just proved yourself right. Now, I do believe that open, honest, kind, respectful communication does solve all human problems. A requisite amount of force sometimes works too. The threat of force sometimes works. I'm just kidding about that. Open, honest, kind, respectful communication. That's what solves human problems. My passion and my favorite hobby, because I like to do all those things, but my passion is golf. I'm not passionate about reading novels. I just do it all the time. I read a novel a week, sometimes two a week. I putter around the house constantly, but I'm not passionate. I bicycle ride a lot. I'm kind of passionate about it. But golf is the right answer, and I think pretty much everybody but one person. One person just guessed that, and really, I'm surprised not many of you, not very few of you answered walks off and care if it's don't take shit from anyone. Always maintain your rightness at all costs. Never give up. That's the one you wanted to answer, right? So I think everybody got that, and the 6 bonus points helped everybody. Everybody got helped from this. And thank God none of you saw what I saw. The first day I opened the test and saw, your percentage is 32, 48, 52. Oh my God, how could they miss it that bad? None of you did. Only one guy missed a fair amount, and he got I wanted to sit down with him, he didn't make it tonight. So that's that. And is there anything else anybody had to ask me? Anybody at all? Anybody ask me something? This is a good chance to ask me any questions. Okay, so let me tell you what to expect next week. Next week, when you come here, hopefully a bunch of you can come. The more the merrier. We'll go through Unit 15, but I expect you to read Unit 15 before you come here. If you've got the book, please read it. Go in. It's a pretty short chapter. Read as far as you can, 16, 17. And then we'll go over that stuff. And I think that's it. That's it, man. Hey, we got out here a pretty good time tonight. Huh. So would you rather take a break and then come back for a while? Go ahead. Go ahead and go.
Let's take a break for space.
Go ahead and go. But good job, everybody, really. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rodney.
We're good. Zach's good. What are you gonna tell me, Zach? Stop recording? Okay.